engineers who make the world's factories more efficient. Let's hear it for the people who lead the companies that innovate for the next generation, and the homeowners who run their homes on smart energy. These are the individuals, the organizations who impact our daily lives. To them, it's not just about balancing progress with sustainability. It's about bridging progress and sustainability for all through automation, electrification, and digitization. If we're going to do more with less, every single step counts, big and small. Let's hear it for the makers. Let's hear it for the impact makers.
So, herzlich willkommen und guten Morgen hier auf der Hannover Messe. Ich freue mich sehr, Sie willkommen zu heißen anlässlich unserer Schneider Electric und AVEVA Pressekonferenz. Wir haben ein internationales Publikum hier auf der Messe als auch über den Livestream. Drum werden wir die Pressekonferenz in Englisch abhalten. For that reason, it's my pleasure to switch into English and to express a very warm welcome to our Hannover Messe press conference of Schneider Electric and AVEVA. We're here joined by many people on the booth, and we're also streaming live. It's my pleasure to be walking you through the press conference. My name is Rochelle Odebrecht, and today we will be sharing insights on our industrial technology leadership, megatrends that are shaping the world we're operating in, and how automation, electrification, and digitalization are making an impact to increase productivity, efficiency, resilience, and competitiveness of industrial companies. With that, it's my pleasure to also introduce our speakers for today. We will have Peter Herwig, our CEO of Schneider Electric, followed by Barbara Frey, our Executive Vice President of Industrial Automation of Schneider Electric, and then Kaspar Herzberg, our CEO of AVEVA. After that, we will have a Q&A session, of which we will hope to have inspired plenty of questions. We will ask you to keep it to one question per person. We want to give as many people as possible the chance to engage. And with that, my pleasure to hand over to you, Peter.
Thank you very much, Priscilla. Good morning from my side. Happy to have you at the Hannover Fair. It's always an exciting moment for people that are in the industry to come to the world's largest exhibition. Now, of course, I want to introduce you to the first impact maker that we had in our booth this morning, the German Chancellor and the Prime Minister of Norway, Jonas Støre. Both of them actually operated some of our software that you're going to be able to see inside of the booth that is so decisive, because software and AI paired with automation and electrification, you can see, will be the impact maker for many of our industries. But let's talk for a moment, what is Schneider all about? What's our purpose, why we're here for our customers? It's decisive at the moment because we need to find a good balance with our clients to help them bridge sustainability and progress. In particular in Germany, this is decisive at the moment for the German Mittelstand, that we help them to bridge the ideal usage of resources in a cost-effective way in order for them to drive down costs and have the same or more output. At Schneider, we call this Life is On, and we're the partners for our clients in respect to electrification, digitization, automation, all to drive sustainability and efficiency. Now, if we take a little bit of a step back and saying what are some of the big schemes that are happening in the world, the megatrends, and I talk about those for a couple of minutes because I think they're very relevant also for the industrial companies here in the country. Some of the trends are very important in the country, but many of the companies, in particular in Germany, that is so export-oriented, this makes a whole lot of sense for companies to focus on that. We've said also, just to share for our company, our own ambition that is very high in respect to becoming a company of 50 billion revenue in the foreseeable future. We didn't put an exact date to it, but maybe 2027 would be a good time to think about this. And we want to do this, of course, in a profitable way for us and our client, because that also means sustainability. But let's talk a little bit of the mega trends that are reshaping and shaping the world, because this is decisive to understand. I start off with what we call the new global equilibrium. What does it mean? It means we're in a world where we have trade barriers, where import taxes, material flows have become much more complicated. And many of our clients are thinking about, how can I operate in a world that's decoupling, where economies are decoupling, but where I can also reshore in order to have resilient operations. Many clients, many customers out there, actually 80% of meaningful companies are thinking of the power of two when they build their supply chains. And it's important when we come to digitization to see how you can connect those, because you want to have the same productivity in every facility that you have. Now, the evolution of wealth is, of course, driven to a large extent by a growth of population in the world. So until 2050, we're expecting that roughly 1.5 billion more people will be born into planet Earth, plus another 700 million people that will move to urban areas. So if we're thinking where this will happen, it will happen mostly on the southern hemisphere of the planet. Those will be large cities that will be built, large infrastructures that will be built, of course all digital, because today none of the youth will accept a non-digital environment. If these numbers ought to happen, then we should expect that in totality we will probably need to build a working, living, manufacturing space of 100 billion square meters. To give you an idea, this is whatever has been built in Europe and China combined, just to put a perspective on it, how big it is and how sustainable it needs to be driven. It needs to be driven sustainable because of what's going on with our climate. The increase of temperature has been rapid. 2023 was the hottest year since we're recording temperatures. And actually in January this year, the first time in 12 consecutive months, the temperature has been 1.52% above the pre-industrial temperatures that we had on Earth. CO2 plays a big role in it, and we're talking today also how we will drive down CO2 by automating and by digitizing in that respect. And also, by the way, at the same time, drive down the cost. Today, already 3.6 billion people on the planet, so half the world population is affected by the topic of climate change. How do we resolve it? Digitization and AI will be a great enabler from that perspective. And it is a great enabler, and it will also require that we build a lot of data centers. It will require that we put AI into our products. It will require that humans and AI are acting together, and Caspar will show you later on how we're doing it in some of our software products. This is decisive because it will drive sustainable outcome at a reasonable cost by the interaction of humans and machines. Last but not least, of course, all of this converges into the energy transition or energy transitions, and they're different from country to country, and they're decisive. In particular, when we're looking at Germany, and since we're in Germany, a couple of words to it. The German Mittelstand, but also the larger companies, worry about the cost of energy that is there, and we're talking too often about the supply side of energy. So how is energy generated, as opposed to discussing how is energy used? And can we use technology to drive down the energy usage with the same output? This is what we discussed this morning with the Chancellor and some of his ministers. We're doing this for ourselves. Schneider, in his 160 factories, we have an energy consumption of roughly 1.1 thousand terawatt hours. And last year alone, we saved roughly 13% of that energy by energy efficiency means while our production grew. That means 13% of 1.1 terawatt hours is roughly 13 gigawatt hours of energy. How much is that? That's 10 hours of 10 nuclear power plants for 1 hour. That's the amount of energy we saved with our own technologies inside the company. And it can be done with many. from that perspective, extremely, extremely important. And you can see the savings that have been estimated by the World Economic Forum that one can have in this period of time. Less than 10 years payback periods, sometimes it's 3 or it's 5 years 10 payback periods. So quite dramatic in respect to that one. So that's why we're saying, you know, the simple equation to drive sustainability is digital. With that we mean automation, we mean software, and we mean data. Industrial data is so important. We combine this with electrification, energy management, decarbonization, and that means sustainability. Sustainability is also, it means efficiency, it means productivity, it means greener, and it means smarter. That's what this is all about, and that's what Barbara and Caspar will be talking about further. Now, before we get there, I'll give you maybe the 3 headlines just in German for those who prefer it. Die 3 Nachrichten sind ganz simpel. Dem deutschen Mittelstand müssen wir helfen, die Energiekosten zu senken. Wir senken die Energiekosten, indem wir digitalisieren, indem wir künstliche Intelligenz nutzen und indem wir Renewable Energy einsetzen. Das haben wir heute Morgen eindeutig gezeigt. Schneider ist ein gutes Beispiel, wie wir das in unseren eigenen Fabriken machen. Zweitens, das große Thema in Deutschland ist die Verfügbarkeit von Ingenieurstalenten, und die ist groß. Und deshalb ist die Kombination von Technik, die aus der Welt kommt, plus die Expertise, die wir in Prozessen haben, die wir in den Fertigungen haben, zusammengebaut in einer Lösung, wird dem deutschen Mittelstand einen Vorteil bringen. Die 3. Nachricht ist, weltweit gibt es große, große Chancen, die wir gemeinsam heben können, insbesondere für den deutschen Mittelstand, weil der Export so wichtig ist. This is just a short summary in German, since we're here, and sometimes I love to speak German, so from that perspective, it's important. With that, of course, in that, as we said, you know, we go digital. Digital means automation, software, and data. So let's talk and ask Barbara to talk about that element, because she's the expert in that regard. Barbara, all yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter. So, hello everyone. It's always a pleasure, and I just recognized some faces from other events like the Namur conference we had more than half a year ago. So, digital transformation is key, and the automation systems that are at the heart of industrial operations are really also key to that one. So, we claim to be a global industrial leader, a technology leader in electrification, automation, and digitization. And why do we say that? First of all, we are really leading with our industrial automation software portfolio from AVEVA. And I think Peter showed it very nicely this morning to our Chancellor, who was even pressing a button to save energy. Secondly, we are accelerating productivity in industry with software-defined automation. And thirdly, we are bringing a unique domain expertise to our customers, providing tailored solutions based on their operations and business goals. And in addition, we are leading experts in energy management and electrification. So companies are also managing the implications of the megatrends that Peter just presented. So advanced digital technology, artificial intelligence, automation, and data are the key levers for that one. However, only 26% of the companies can really excel in this area. And the rest of it is a bit stuck in proof of concepts, in pilots, and is not really getting the benefit of it at scale. So, to understand why, we have to look into the reality of industrial operations. Let me draw a parallel. Imagine your IT department would just upgrade your new laptop every 20 years. Now, apply this concept to industrial automation. Much of today's automation technology was designed and installed decades ago, before the massive computing power we have right now available. Thinking of a factory or a plant with hundreds, if not thousands of pieces of hardware. All this equipment needs to work together seamlessly in production, and each piece of hardware comes with its own code to program. So this is a lot to manage and a lot to maintain. and the reason why industrial plants are only upgraded in very long intervals, between 7 to 20 years. So, it is a must. Advancing, upgrading and modifying of automation system becomes easier, more flexible, more agile, to be also ready for the changing environment that's occurring to us. A new approach to automation is needed that enables industrial digital transformation and provides the agility to address the complex life cycle of these automation systems in the future. Software-defined and open automation is the answer, as it simplifies the existing complexity and at the same time protects the past. So, the objective of software-defined automation is a solution that is fully designed to meet an industrial company's business objective today and tomorrow. What are the three elements which really distinguish the open automation from the traditional automation? First of all, it decouples the hardware cycle from the software cycle. And it lets orchestrate the different systems running in industrial operations and getting the data and the automation system. And then the connectivity that brings the data created by the automation system to run analytics with additional software applications at the edge or even at the cloud. So we started this journey back in 2020 with the launch of EcoStruxure Automation Expert that you can see here now in the background with the different features. And it was at that time a big bet. We took this bold step because we listened to our customers and their needs to solve problems like compatibility issues across software, a fragmented user experience which is leading to longer learning cycles, proprietary data restrictions across tools that complicate systems management, especially when you have increasing data volume you want to look at for further analysis. And then, of course, skilled labor shortage, as Peter also mentioned before, and the need to attract younger talents to conservative industries. Today, it's not a bet anymore. It has become reality. So customers across industries are starting to adopt it. And in doing so, they're also simplifying their complexity while protecting their current investments. In 2024, we are continuing the progress in simplifying and facilitating the transformation for customers with a single, scalable industrial automation environment, where the application is going from continuous to hybrid or discrete processes with multi-user access to enable efficient collaboration. So more engineers over different companies can work together on the same automation project. And then, of course, for process industries, it's really utterly important to have high availability available for mission-critical processes. And then, of course, an easy transition path to leverage the benefit of asset-centric design, which is really one of the key features when you apply open automation. So, we invite you to see EcoStruxure Automation Expert in action in each of the applications that you can find here on the booth, demonstrating how software-defined automation is accelerating this digital transformation. We have great experts. We can show you examples in water, wastewater, in chemical, in consumer packaged goods, across the whole booth here. So, let me make here a short statement about software-defined. Many players nowadays are talking about software-defined automation. However, we are going even further and have chosen the open automation approach. And it's not only about using open standards, but also expanding the approach to the automation technology. It has a disruptive element on it by itself. Therefore, it was important to create an ecosystem of different users. We call it the software-defined automation approach, which is supported then by universalautomation.org. This is a community of users, vendors, system integrators who share a common source code to execute edge control application as well, to share best practices and experience. Some facts and figures here. So, EcoStruxure Automation Expert has been the world's first software-defined universal automation solution. However, in the meantime, 11 supplier-agnostic solutions have been launched by the members of this association. And we started with 9 members. Today, in Universal Automation.org, we have 82 members. And I just mention here some of the DACH members, which is Actemium, a system integrator in the energy space, Belden, Stahl, and Phoenix Contacts, besides others. So, now, coming back to the domain expertise, and look around this booth here. We take here the life science industries, which is highly regulated and a complex production environment. It is also faced with the need to accelerate their digital transformation, attaining challenging efficiency, and also they have to comply with the sustainability goals that are given. This year at Hannover Fair, we have designed our booth as a digital and sustainable life science campus, demonstrating real-life application of digital, electric, and automation through the lens of pharmaceutical manufacturers and across their ecosystem. So not only the manufacturing of pharmaceutical products, but also the whole chain, which includes raw materials, chemicals, and of course also the utilities who provide the energy to it. So you can see on our booth that choosing the right partner can really make a world of difference. From digital transformation to navigating through change management to electrification and therefore also automation and ultimately sustainability. As I mentioned in the beginning, many companies are struggling with the digital transformation and they are stuck in this kind of processes. Therefore, we launched last year our Industrial Digital Transformation Services, a team of highly specialized consultants that help our customers, be it a small, a medium, or a large company, to accelerate the benefits of industrial digital transformation and increase, of course, the workforce productivity. We usually start with one production site with few use cases that have measurable impacts like productivity, efficiency, or equipment availability. When those use cases are proven successful, we usually then start to roll them out to other production sites. So, in conclusion, with software-defined and open automation, we help our customers to simplify their complexity and protect their past investments, which in a nutshell increases their competitiveness. So together with them, we really want to make an impact. Und jetzt noch auf Deutsch. Softwaredefinierte und offene Automation sind aus unserer Sicht ein wichtiger technologischer Schritt, um die Konkurrenzfähigkeit unserer industriellen Kunden sicherzustellen. Das bedeutet Reduktion von Komplexität und auch der Schutz der Investitionen. Und zusammen mit unserer Domain-Expertise und Industrial Software-Lösungen von AVEVA nehmen wir eine führende Rolle als technologische Leader im industriellen Umfeld ein. Und darum freut es mich wirklich, das Wort an Kasper, unseren CEO von AVEVA, zu übergeben. Er wird uns mehr Insights geben, wie unser Portfolio den Daten ein richtiges Leben gibt. Dankeschön.
Danke. Vielen Dank, Barbara. Ja, es ist mir eine absolute Freude, Ihnen heute zur AVEVA vortragen zu dürfen. AVEVA steht mit ihren Lösungen für Effizienz und Nachhaltigkeit. Effizienz und Nachhaltigkeit, die natürlich sowohl in der industriellen Welt als auch in der Welt der Infrastruktur extrem wichtig sind. Und es ist eine ganz besondere Freude, hier heute in Hannover, heute Morgen mit Peter, unseren Bundeskanzler gesehen zu haben, wie er sich unser wichtigstes System, Connect, mit dem Unified Operation Center, hat vorstellen lassen. Now don't worry, I will continue in English for those of you that prefer that. Now, I just introduced AVEVA, the software arm of the Schneider Group, of Schneider Electric. AVEVA is the leader, really, in industrial software solutions with more than 25,000 customers, pretty much everywhere you go, all over the globe. AVEVA serves another key thing to remember, more than 90% of the world's Fortune 500 companies, spanning the world from energy, power, utilities, all the way to mining, to manufacturing, to shipbuilding, pretty much anything, life sciences as we see here, pretty much any industry that you can think of. Now, AVEVA is driven, really, by three key enabling trends. One of them is the need not just to be efficient, not just to show environmental performance against sustainability goals, but also to prove and to document that you have done so. There's a difference, you know, between proving and just saying it. Secondly, of course, it is driven by the need, and I'll show that to you in the next slide, to have increasingly interoperable, connected, digitally connected supply chains. A key driver of our growth. And of course, thirdly, the need to empower, to train, and to give the right solutions to our next generation workforce as they try to make sense of the world that we have created for them. The world where the average factory has 50, 60, 70 systems, software systems, through different generations with the associated manuals. And in all of this, of course, data intelligence, actionable insights, meaning information you can actually do something with, is key. And here, it helps us that we have 18 plus years of AI experience in using specifically linear models in artificial intelligence that we use to empower and to offer decision support to engineers, to decision makers in industry. Now, in the last years, the amount of industrial data has grown to a level that is difficult to fathom, to understand. 147 zettabytes of industrial data is the number this year. Now, for those of you who don't know what a zettabyte is, like me before I looked at this presentation, it has 21 zeros. I had to look it up. It is a significant amount of data. Now, what is even more astonishing with this amount of data is that almost 2/3, precisely 68%, are not used. They just hang out somewhere on servers, this data. And these are not all cat videos and TikTok videos. This is industrial data, time series data, important data that we could leverage in order to be more sustainable, to be more efficient, to make progress against the very serious problems that Peter showed us earlier of climate change and so on. Yet the positive thing is that those companies that do use this data well, which are the remaining 1/3, actually outperform those that don't, with on average 7% growth or more, meaning it pays for a company to be more efficient, to be more sustainable. Very simple math. It is better to connect, to use this data, than to just leave it unused, both in your enterprise and across your supply chain. Now, let me give you two very concrete examples. One of them is Duke Energy. By one singular type of artificial intelligence, predictive analytics, Duke Energy has saved $1 billion over 10 years simply by predicting when turbines are going to fail. This single catch for this single company, which accounts for only 4%, well, it's great for them, 4% of the US utility market, saved them $1 billion. So if you were to extrapolate that, you would get 20 billion or more of the same savings across the US energy generation sector. Likewise, in Europe, Acciona, water company, by using the same technology to do two things. One of them is have more efficient, together with the Schneider automation infrastructure, to be more efficient in the energy consumption of the pumps, and then combine that with leak detection. Acciona was able to save 20% of their operational efficiency, which, if we put it to the same number as we did for Duke Energy over 10 years, would be 100 billion or more of savings in the water sector. So these are just two types of technology, two customers with very large numbers. Now, the big question, of course, is, especially looking at the the very serious challenge that the planet now has is, how can we scale these type of solutions further? And here, our mission is to allow the world of industry and infrastructure to easily consume all relevant software packages, initially those of AVEVA, those of ETAP in electrical design, those of RIB in infrastructure, construction, project and cost management, those of some of our AI partners like TwinThreads and others, and in the future, all of the world software packages, all brought together on one platform that we call Connect. It's a simple name because it connects. It connects the world of industrial and infrastructure software, all in one place, making it easy for the customer, the operator, to use software and to switch between different packages to have the data move from one to another. It's open, it's agnostic, and it is for everyone. Now, it is covering today with more than 17,000 active monthly users, all engineers using the software, right? It covers the world of build, operate, and optimize, so the full life cycle of software. And it has many of the really important software, such as the PI system, the key time series historian of the industrial world. It has MES, manufacturing execution systems. It has the now newly launched AVEVA AI assistant that I will demo in a second, and many, many other such softwares all in one place. Now, how should you visualize, how should you imagine this platform? Let me take you to a demo, an example. Here you see the Unified Operations Center, the best way to visualize, to imagine the world of Connect, of a wind farm operator, of a renewable energy operator with 2 solar assets, you see them here on the continent, and a wind farm asset off the coast of Hornsea in the North Sea. Now, those of you who study wind farms as a business know that this is a low margin business, on average 1.5 to 6%, sometimes lower, which means that predictive maintenance, knowing when turbines will stop, is incredibly important for 2 reasons. One, if they're in the sea, they're hard to reach. And secondly, if you are in, as is the case in Texas, and you have labor problems because your staff doesn't want, you don't find enough people to climb the pylons to fix them. So you have to schedule your maintenance very well. And downtime is lethal when you are, well, it's bad for your margin if you are in a low margin business. Now here at this level, you see a lot of enterprise data. So this would be the CEO level, if you like. So you see the operational data summarized. The key here is that you have lots of different data all coming together from the world of IT, this is SAP, from the world of OT, from the world of time series, any type of data visualized in one single pane. We will now go into a demo where an operator on the wind farm sees an issue with a turbine. So the predictive analytics that we use here basically says there's a potential high temperature event. It then analyzes the issue. The operator, being new, uses the industrial AI assistant to ask questions. If you notice, the questions are not simple yes and no, does it work, does it not work. These are objective-driven questions, and they basically give different options. They then access, with large language models, the manual of this specific GE turbine, and they summarize different options of what the operator can do with that. It then goes to the asset information, so this is the information of the actual nacelle, and goes into the detail of the nacelle. He can ask different questions, and then the system automatically takes you back to the work order scheduling to SAP, which can either be automated or as a process step. Now the operator wants to go one step further and actually go into a simulated training environment in the metaverse to see what exactly needs to be changed in the nacelle. In this case, it's an electrical breaker. And here, he collaborates with a lady fellow operator on opening the electrical box and replacing the life-size depiction of the breaker. So what have I shown you here? In a fairly attractive graphic rendering, mind you. Yeah? I have shown you many different technologies all brought together in one place, allowing you to predict, what the system predicts, to assess, to summarize information, right? And then to take the remedy action, both automated via the work order and actual via the, actually simulated in the training environment. This concludes my short demo and speech. So in summary, AVEVA, the software arm of the Schneider Group, and I hand over to you. Take care.
I would like to ask Peter, Barbara, and Casper to join me for the Q&A session. If you please take a seat. For the Q&A, very briefly, if you raise your hand, I will do my best to spot them in the order and sequence. We will also be taking questions from the live stream, so we will have a mix of both. Please, as said, limited to one question, ideally, and also a quick reminder, we are in a quiet period, hence we will not be talking about financials, but you can welcome to join the Q results call later this week. So with that, please.
Frank Nolte from Automation Magazine, SPS. Caspar, you mentioned especially two impressive case studies where the companies reduce the amount of spent money a lot. But I doubt that it's all about AI. What would interest me is how much would have they reduced the cost without the AI, just with your solutions, your products. Is it just isn't the AI just a cherry on the cake?
No. So great question. You can hear me well? Yeah? Okay, great question. No, the AI is not a cherry on the cake because there are two types of AI here. You have the predictive analytics, which analyzes the time series data, and that's a core component of the early catches, for example, of the Duke Energy example. So it's actually the predictive analytics that has given us this return. What I showed in the demo then is the industrial assistant. The industrial assistant is key because it significantly accelerates both the time to knowledge of the worker, of the engineer, right, and his or her ability to deal with many different issues all at the same time. But the case studies, specifically the first one, is an AI case study. Yeah.
Lucian Fogoro, Society World. So just so I'm clear, I get one question per speaker, correct? No. Barbara, get your time. My question is for Caspar. You've mentioned you work with support 90% of the Fortune 100 companies. And you've also shown example Duke Energy on saving $10 billion or X amount of $1 billion over the course of 10 years. Do you have any examples on small to mid-sized company, 20 people or less, on how AI can help or had helped in the past, or any use cases that's supporting the small to mid-sized companies?
So I have to look into the use cases on smaller SMB. We do work with, of course, with Wonderware and SCADA, with most of the, this is why our customer base is so incredibly large. I have to look into the case studies at this moment on predictive, whether also medium-sized companies are using it. Peter, you want to add something?
I can add something. Also in large companies, many times, at least historically, they have started their efforts on a plant level. And if you think about a plant level, it is like a very small company in a large company. They need to deliver on their production KPIs, while at the same time they have limited amount of capital to invest. So this is how it started off many years ago. Of course, today, many large companies talk about digital transformation, and you start talking to the chief digital officer and so forth, and it's more of a top-down decision. But many years ago when we started, it was all from a grassroots activity, if you will. And then, if you go into individual plants, Duke actually started off in one plant. The Acciona started off in one plant. I remember those, and those are examples that are 10 years ago. And the savings that Kaspar was mentioning was a savings over 10 years of 1 billion. And then he said, this is 4% of the production in the US. That's how the 20 billion come together, just to put it into perspective.
And nevertheless, as I mentioned, the digital transformation consulting services that we are offering, usually these are companies with less than 1,000 employees. So this is exactly, but they don't like that we openly speak about their cases.
Any questions? Maybe taking a question from the live stream. Peter, you were mentioning energy efficiency earlier and examples of how that can be a big impact. Question being, are there any other cases that you can give an idea of how energy efficiency can help companies increase their competitiveness and productivity?
Sure, actually quite a few interesting cases. This morning I was also talking about a Norwegian company, since the Prime Minister of Norway was here, and the company name is Elkem. They're a silicon producer. And they use exactly the software that we've shown to reduce the amount of energy. Then some of the base technology that is used, not with a fancy screen. At the end of the day, the screen is, many times where when people have large operating centers or maintenance centers, that's where they want to deploy it. But the base of the technology, I was also mentioning this morning, is actually used in quite a few of the ministries in Germany, because we've many years ago also pushed them to do energy efficiency. Henkel is another example in Germany that applies some of the technology. The beauty is that meanwhile, when we did the first installation probably 10 years ago, it would take several weeks to do the installations. Today it can be done within days. And it doesn't matter what control systems are deployed at the client. So it's another layer of the existing infrastructure that's put onto it to be able to do it fairly quickly and cost effective. So the savings is a direct cash savings that you can use to deploy it.
Thank you. Another question that has come in here, Peter, towards you. Sustainability is clearly a priority for many companies, but there might be also some that might see it as competing priority. What is your view on that, and how can companies achieve both?
So I think, first of all, I think we're the best example of doing both. I think many people know that we're considered as one of the top sustainability companies in the world for consecutive 10, 15 years we've invested. And if I said earlier, last year we saved roughly 13% of energy. This is not the first year we've done it. So there are years before, and it gets harder and harder. But at the end of the day, if you also look at the profitability, that's why I've shared it early, I don't think it's an oxymoron. Quite the contrary. I think managing and driving your company in a sustainable fashion is good for you now, and is good for the future, and is good for the future owner of the company. So it needs to be done. No oxymoron. Also, given the payback periods, and we know if somebody starts early and has not done much on the energy saving side. I found it fascinating what Barbara said. Haven't upgraded your PC in 20 years, or your factory, or your building. By the way, that's true for buildings as well. The payback periods can be 3 years or 5 years. And in 3 or 5 year payback period, it makes sense, even for a politician, because that's around about the time where he's in office.
Barbara, over to you. We're talking a lot about software-defined automation and open automation. You elaborated on that already. Could you add a little bit more, like where is openness come in? What makes that different? And more about how we as a company are taking this openness forward.
So when you hear some vendors talking about software-defined, you still have to remain in their ecosystem with the old automation standards, and maybe you can apply Linux to make the programming, or you have certain data transfer possibilities, but it's still within a given system. Now, the open that we are looking for is based on IEC 61499, and that really means you have a different approach also when you program automation. So you really go first with the solution, the application, asset-centric, and then you think about how you distribute it on the hardware. Whereas in the traditional PLC programming, you first look what's the hardware, and then you start programming. So it's really a different kind of adoption, how you do automation. And I would say one of the big benefits is really you can detach the software cycle from the hardware cycle. So whenever you see a new feature, specifically on the edge level that you would like to add, be it on the control, on the compute part, you can add it without changing the hardware. And if you need more computing power, you add the other part, the hardware, without changing the rest. So for me, that's clearly a big advantage. Plus, of course, then the openness to bring the data from OT to the IT level seamlessly.
Thank you very much for that. Just to see any hands here in the audience. Now, we have a very engaged live stream participants. Casper, a question for you in terms of the AI capabilities. You showed a great example. Not sure how much you want to share already what's going to be coming next, but how are you going to be expanding on AI solutions? Where do you see that road continuing?
So our approach is to work by use case. What that means is we look what is really needed, and then we develop the capability that is needed. We identify decision support, so what I've demoed you, and what you can see by Rob McGreevy, by the way, in more detail here in the demo area, as a core missing link right now in enabling the workforce. So it's really the infusion of artificial intelligence and human intelligence, right, that play together. That is for us a core thing. Now we started doing that for the specifically for the PI system as an initial step, and we will then roll that out across many of our other software capabilities as well. That's the first step, right? Now clearly, as use cases evolve, you've seen the enormous amount of data. Clearly, data services on Connect is another big topic for us. So uploading, working with, and downloading specifically time series and manufacturing execution data in the cloud. And then I can envisage AI playing a role in managing this data for operators. So if you want a more long-term prediction, that would be one.
And Casper, just one more in the context of AVEVA Connect. Question being, what does the future look like? Also bring other companies into Connect, sharing data with suppliers, with customers, for instance, to streamline supply chain disruptions.
Yes.
What's your view on that?
Yeah, our vision is that Connect is the place where you easily access data, where you easily access software solutions, where you are able to exchange data between software solutions, where you can analyze this data, right? So I can see that becoming a marketplace, an ecosystem, right? An industrial ecosystem over the next couple of years, the industrial ecosystem.
Peter, one more question that's coming on the question of small and medium-sized enterprises that don't have the clout to perhaps invest into big steps. What else and what more can the SMEs or the Mittelstand do to really increase that competitiveness in these very challenging environments?
So one of the things we've also learned is how do we get in touch and how do we help people understand what's possible and what's the cost. So we've developed what we call a little bit of a consulting service. Barbara talked about this very shortly in between. What's important is, sit together, look at the site, look at what the challenges are, and then propose solutions that are affordable and have a reasonable return on investment. With that, you have a little bit of consulting expense in the beginning, but you come to a solution that is suitable for what you have. have. At the end of the day, the technology that we have, it's all about scalability from small to large, and then one needs to look at what's the actual application. But the idea is you start a little bit with consulting and then you move there, as opposed to jumping with both feet into something that you don't understand.
Yeah. Barbara, switching to technology as AI, machine learning for automation, and all of these being hot topics at the moment, what does it actually mean for the people working with these technologies in these environments, in the factories and plants? What will that look like? How will that impact them?
I think there is two aspects of it. One aspect of it is we have customers telling us, hey, I don't find any more people who want to work a night shift in a chemical plant. So I have to go to autonomous operations, and this requires artificial intelligence, because there are certain incidents you cannot foresee, and then you need these kind of features to make it happen. So is it an easy journey? I don't think so. There will be learnings and practice about it, but that's the trend, there it goes. The other aspect is I can augment my decisions, and I can make my job also much more attractive. So instead of then going through a lot of paper and a lot of, let's say, asking different stakeholders or people in the plant to make a certain decision, I can see it on a screen, a proposal created by artificial intelligence, and I can agree or disagree with it, or we can improve over the time. And I think that gives completely new levers. And also I think it's a very motivational thing. So that people would fear artificial intelligence would replace workplace, I don't think at all. It will create new opportunities, and it will really augment, that's the right English word, the workforce in the plant.
And I guess also a key topic indeed of attracting new talents.
Absolutely.
And managing that
Absolutely,
transition.
absolutely.
So true.
Any last questions from the audience? If not, I would close the Q&A and thank our speakers for their time and the presentations. Also remind of a couple of activities that are upcoming. Tomorrow we will have a press breakfast at 10 o'clock for the media and analysts in our cafeteria on the Life Science campus. We will also have a guided tour at 2:15 if you want to join it. Right in the back we have a colleague standing, so you can take a coffee and join that. And otherwise, I think there's a whole list of topics that will be coming. We have multiple learning lounge sessions where you can dig deeper into multiple domains and topics. And of course, please take the time, speak to the colleagues. They have a lot more to share. With that,
thanks a lot.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you for joining us.
Having you here.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.